Take a look at this. This is Kharkiv, Ukraine today. And as you can see, it's just devastated after a barrage of attacks by Russian forces. Meanwhile, this is President Vladimir Putin today at an event in Moscow earlier, celebrating the 8-year anniversary of his invasion and annexation of Crimea. At the event, Putin reaffirmed his commitment to his, quote, special military operation, ridding Ukraine of Nazism and defending against the, quote, genocide of Russian-speaking people. You want to know where there's a ton of Russian-speaking people? Kharkiv. And that city says at least 500 civilians there have died. But Putin can't tell his people that. The truth. Because the truth is that Russia's been struggling to sustain its troops on the field, partially because while Russia is devastating Ukraine's infrastructure, it's not quelling its people. It's likely that Russian intelligence could have predicted that, but Putin, despite his 16-year career in Russia's KGB, may not care about the intelligence as much as he cares about power. And he's willing to sacrifice whatever it takes, even his own people, to get it, especially since it's worked for him in the past. As this Washington Post op-ed highlights, Putin was able to crush Chechnya, invade Georgia, seize Crimea, intimidate and murder journalists and political rivals at home, poison enemies, and prop up rogue states, all without penalty. Joining me now is Jack Barsky. He's a former KGB agent who left the service in 1988. So, Jack, help us understand what Vladimir Putin's rationale may be for this. I mean, he's not making progress like he wanted to in Ukraine, but hosted today's event in which reports suggest some people were forced to attend it. It's almost like the please clap moment, please clap. What do you make of this?
You know, when I watched this event in the stadium, that sort of reminded me of the staged events that Goebbels under Hitler did in Nazi Germany. The only difference I see is that the Russians are waving flags and the Germans in unison gave the Nazi salute. It is just astounding that I don't think they were all forced. There's a lot of people there, I believe, that believe all these lies because Russia has become a huge echo chamber. And unless you really look for the truth, and certain parts of the internet where you need to be rather active and search for it, you hear nothing but the lies that Putin distributes on a daily basis. These days, every time the man opens his mouth, he lies.
Well, that is saying something. I mean, one of the things that is often said about Putin is that he's calculated, almost like a chess player. But it seems hard to believe that he didn't foresee some of the consequences of the invasion. Do you think that he expected the internal resistance that he's faced from the Ukrainian people? Did he think he was going to be greeted like a liberator? I mean, did he anticipate the resistance he's faced? And what do you think his end game is?
He's been a really good chess player, but I believe he lost a pawn or two. When you listen to his speech, I've rarely heard him that angry. The language that he used and the tone indicated that he lost his cool to some degree, and that can only be because he's not doing as well as he thought he would be doing. And so now he's starting to actually criticize Russian citizens, primarily. I think he went after the oligarchs. But, if you talk about a fifth column in your own country, that means you're playing, to some extent, the defense. And, a problem I see is an angry dictator can get very dangerous, because if he really loses it, you never know what could happen.
Hagar was just saying something very similar in our previous conversation. And I want to sort of drill down on this point about who Vladimir Putin actually is as a person, because one of the things I say all the time is that, a dictator, a president, a celebrity, they're all people. Everybody's a human being. So who is Vladimir Putin? I mean, who's the real man?
I am not a psychologist, but if you watch a person like him, the way he behaves, you must draw the conclusion that he's a narcissist, a 100% narcissist. He believes in his own greatness. He believes in that he was called by, who knows, maybe God or by destiny, to bring the greatness of Russia back and reestablish the greatness of Russia. And I think this is a messianic kind of obsession that he has. And that's why at this point, and this came up in the previous discussion, I don't believe at this point he thinks he's losing. He can't be losing. And let's not get too optimistic about the negotiations, because you've got Lavrov negotiating something and sounding rather reasonable, and then Putin comes up with this rant of his. So the situation at this point is still being escalated.
And in terms of how angry he sounds, you've mentioned that more than one time. Is that different from how he sounded in the past?
Yes.
Is this angrier than you're used to seeing him?
Yes, and I still, I don't necessarily need all the translation at the bottom of the video. I understand quite a bit of Russian still.
And in terms of, the hierarchy within the country, is there anybody that he has to answer to? I mean, obviously we've been I have been amused by the photographs of him at the gigantic tables, the mile-long tables with his own advisors. I'm like, how is that even productive? But is there anybody that he has to answer to? And do you think, from what you know about him and about the Kremlin, do you think there is any truth to the fact that he's nervous about, those people in power pushing him out or pushing him aside?
Every dictator in history had to fear the other power players in his inner circle. You can't have power all by yourself. Power needs to be exercised through people that believe in you, that are willingly serving you. And if he is seen as weak or as a failure, then he has he is correct to fear that kind of situation. So he's not so much interested in the response of the ordinary Russian people, not even so much the oligarchs, because they're not really power players. We're talking about the army and the intelligence services and so forth. Not that I'm going to speculate about a coup d'état. I don't think there's any that was in the cards, but these are the folks that he's concerned about, period.
It's really helpful to understand all of that. Jack Barsky, I hope you'll join us again. It was great to talk to you, and as this crisis goes on, I hope that you will continue to help us understand it, given your knowledge and background. Thank you again for being here, and please stay safe. Hi, I'm Zerlina Maxwell. Thanks for checking out our channel on YouTube. You can see more from Zerlina by clicking any of the videos on this screen, and make sure you subscribe below to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. Thanks for watching.